Bar's open. Hello, everyone. This is what, number 6? Am I keeping track of this right? Number 6? Don't think it's number 7. It's this true forced loneliness. It's hard to do it. It's a Sunday. It's a Sunday morning. It's just late. It's in the middle of the night. It's been a hard day at work. Just came back from volunteering. So we got our beer. We got some beer nuts. What is this? Honey roasted nuts. Got our dartboard. We got our game. What is this? What's on? Oh, look at that. It's the Texans and the Chiefs. Yeah, Kansas City. Well, we'll see what happens with that, won't we? And so I also got some mail. Fan mail, I guess. Got a couple of comics. Let's take a look. We got, let's see. We got a couple of comic books. This came from Canada. It's very nice. I can't really see the name of this. Stan. I think his name is Stan. We'll call him Stan. If it's not his real name, at least he's safe. If I've offended him by not saying his real name, well, he did put no return address. So his name is Stan. So look what he got me. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 217. I think these two are brothers, right? Hydro Man and Sandman. I didn't read every single comic book. This came out when I was 3 years old. So I can't really remember or recall. And then we got Star Wars from the original Marvel series, not the weird new series, but this one here we got Star Wars. This is great. It's not the best of conditions, to be honest, but as Cole Skywalker said, we take what is given. Just before he got slaughtered at the Temple of Ossus, the Jedi Temple in Legacy. And what I like about these, maybe I'm reading too much into them, but both of them have sort of a common theme, don't they? In this one, the TIE fighter pilot is getting surrounded by all kinds of, not TIE fighter, X-Wing pilot is getting surrounded by TIE fighters. He's in a TIE fighter, but he's surrounded by the rest of, I think they figured out he's a traitor. And then in this one, Spider-Man is surrounded by two of the supervillains, the system, kind of killing the superheroes. So, I mean, here you got sort of a double agent or a spy, and he's going to get bombarded by other TIE fighters, and then Spider-Man's getting surrounded by two supervillains. So let me read the letter here. It's only one page, I think. Maestro, my brother was an avid comic collector who had amassed quite a large assortment of them. Sadly, he passed away very unexpectedly of cancer in 2016, and I've been looking to do something with his belongings, which are still in storage. These are a couple of random pulls from his collection that I thought you might like, and if you do, I might send some more. Whatever you can send, whatever's not damaged too much. But I have so many comic books. I have some that people have given me over the years. So anything, and of course, if anybody else wants to, let me take better care of this and let me put this gladly up, because it's hard to reach, honestly, from where I'm sitting to the book stand here. There we go. Redemption. There you go. Redemption. I don't want to make you... Sorry about that, Stan. I don't want to make you feel terrible about that. I lost my brother, of course, to AIDS and the pneumonia and AIDS virus. I lost half of my family, to be honest. I lost my grandparents. A lot of people are dead, so it's hard for me. But if anybody else wants to send mail, you are welcome to do so. Here is, once again, I will also put it in my description. It's Maestro Drake, Maestrodrake, 2168 South Atlantic Boulevard, PMB 138, Monterey Park, California 91754. You can send comics. You can send, honey roasted nuts. I'm not much of an alcoholic, so beer wouldn't do me much good. Fentiman's cola. Fentiman, Fentiman cola. That'd be great. I can't find Fentiman's cola, brewed cola, at my stores anymore. I'm trying to see if I can find one in another store. Anybody want to send some Fentiman's cola my way? Any money you send, cash on delivery, must be in padded envelopes, of course. Or if not, send a check. Or if you want to send me board games, books. I collect Japanese style books. Anything you can think of. If it's too much work to put it on eBay, just send it my way, whatever. And I will, if you want to be anonymous or if you want me to put your name, in this case, there's no return address. But thank you, Stan from Canada. It's really great. 9 stamps. That's great. Fantastic. I hope it's getting better over there. Now, part of being alone means that, as I've defined true forced loneliness, it's not just being alone from females, it's being alone from people in your life. If you don't have a regular date for you and your friends, you and your relatives, or you and a girlfriend, you're basically truly alone. Most people are just single. When I think of Where's Waldo, you think of Find Waldo in a mess of things. I think of the travel. This is the travel collection or travel companion. Good for on the trains. You got to get a magnifying glass. But when you explore, when you go outside, see, this is the problem. When I think of Robin Williams and Tony Scott, who did Predator, and Margot Kidder, and a lot of other celebrities who ended their lives. Some people may be cynical and say, at first glance, you say, well, they're rich and famous people. They have so much. Even what is that? Chester Pennington from Lincoln Park. Why did they take their lives? Why did they end their lives? Were they truly that alone? They saw people all the time. I think they were lonely. I don't think it was a true forced loneliness because they saw people constantly. So I would argue that it's not true forced loneliness. However, these people did have money. Um, they could have figured out ways. When you think of Waldo on his walking stick with his dog and Wenda and the wizard, they go through time. They travel to Aztecs. They travel to ancient Japan. They travel to being a pirate. You go to Disneyland, you go to Universal Studios, you go to Dollywood, you go to Mount Rushmore, you go see the world's biggest yarn, the world's biggest cat yarn, or the world's largest Lego house in the middle of the states, Nebraska. I don't know if there's a real Lego house, but there's lots of weird Lego land. You go to Santa's Village, you go to the forests, you go skiing, you go to different countries, you explore books. Like I'm doing Don Quixote, sort of my own homework assignment about looking at different references of Don Quixote, different different historical books and things like that. It's very different from looking at silent films, isn't it? So the whole point of this is that um, you have to find a way. And some people would say cocaine and marijuana is the way. Even though marijuana is legal in many states, I would dare say that that's not the way to do it. Because you'll just get lazy and you'll conform to just smoking weed all the time. You got to go out there and do it. The more money you have, though, the more that you can do. If you're struggling, save your money wisely. I am saving my money wisely. I don't buy as many video games as I do. I'm back to buying a 3DS game this weekend, and that's it for January. Because I have so many games. Look at this. So this is a place of dragons. Imagine you go to what is it, Harry Potter? Remind me of Harry Potter. This was made way before Harry Potter, years before Harry Potter, a couple of years. And it's, I mean, when I think of exploring, you're going to all these different worlds, just like in a video game, just like in Banjo-Kazooie or Super Mario 64 or Minecraft or anything like Zelda or any video game where you're exploring. But in the real world, you just want to, whether you're doing video games or you're doing theme parks, you have to find a way to battle the cabin fever. You have to find a way to battle that depression. It goes a long way. And so, for me, where I live, it's such a shithole. I mean, East LA is a shithole. Sorry, it is. I mean, Paul Joseph Watson doesn't need to tell you that. I'm telling you that. I will tell you that. You ask me anything about East LA, I will fucking tell you. It is a shithole. Um, and when I go to places like, I don't know about Pasadena, but like Little Tokyo, it's such a nicer area, such a nicer place to be. But really, it's great to meet many different people. College will do that, college courses. Take some extracurricular college courses and meet people. Um, even if it's just to try to pick up girls, but at least you're going to meet different kinds of people. This is where your tolerance really has to come in. Especially if you're a minority and you live in minorities, like blacks live in Harlem or South LA, Mexicans live in Boyle Heights or East LA, whites live in white counties. When you take road trips, how many states? 13 colonies. Asians living in Gardena. So, I mean, like, we just have to learn to tolerate each other and find a way. So, to me, battling true force loneliness means if you have the money, if you have Chester Pennington money, which I don't imagine most of you do not have that money, but if you do, you find a way first. Um, the problem with those celebrities that, they thought it was enough to have fame and power and money, and that wasn't enough. You have to sometimes, with the money, you have to buy your education. And that means going to Italy, going to Spain, going to Antarctica, and trying new things. This is all I can suggest to you is take that first step outside the house, after you play a video game. As Billy Bragg would say, "What side are you on?" Yeah, Billy Bragg. Those of you in the UK might remember. Maybe those of you in Canada might know who that is. In Fallout, you're always picking a side, I think. Do you go to the Brotherhood or the Enclave? Are you picking the authority, or I mean, like the security, the authority figures? Which one are you picking? The Shield or the Star? Um, when you do go out there and meet people, if you do go and join groups, I think it's very difficult. I tried to join different groups when I was a kid: campus ministry, art clubs, engineering clubs, theater. And I find that although I may like the art and I may like the things that are about um, theater and arts and writing and drawing and creative writing, even though I may like these things, other people are in there for selfish reasons. They're there for fame. They're there to be first. They're there to be the best of what they are. It's very difficult. It's sort of like you may have, you may be a Trump supporter, but you may have Nazis in there. You may have actual Nazis who actually hate Mexicans. Whereas you have your conservative points of view. You believe in people coming to the U.S. legally, and other people may be like, oh, well, we should get rid of all Mexicans. It's like, what? You know, or um, you may be part of an anime club, but all they want to do is watch the same anime and manga 10 times, and you want to look at different things. It's like, can we look at something else? And maybe what you find is that you like Japanese culture more than just anime, and your friends are still wearing cosplay. So you find that when you're joining groups, at first it's good, but then you're finding out that these people are very, very different than you. And some of them may not even like you, have prejudice. That's what happens. Um, I tried doing this. This is a mistake I made so many times. Um, is it, it, there are people who can fit in. Sometimes it's the voice, it's the face. Sometimes it's the clothes you wear or how you walk or how you carry yourself. And people say, oh, you're just like this actor character from this TV show. Oh, you're just like this in real life. Oh, I can sit and talk to you. Or if you're not, then I don't talk to you. And it's hard to find groups. So every group you see, you go with caution. Now, I've kind of given up on the whole thing. And I say that if I see something unique and I might like it, I'll join it. Otherwise, I don't care. Um, I don't take political sides. I don't take um, any racial sides. I just find something interesting about each person. You know, um, well, put it this way: if there was a club for people, well, I would join it, but I don't have any superpowers. If there's a real life Magneto. A kid who you can throw magnets on and it stays on his body, or a kid who has muscles, but he has to eat a lot of food to keep those muscles, like an X-Men club. There are real life mutants. You know that, right? But they can't shoot energy out of their hands. But I think one has like an unusual amount of static electricity output, so it's almost like he's got electric hands. Or one who can run really fast and not get tired for a few minutes at a time. Like he can run a marathon and never ever get tired. He like hours later he needs water. Like those kind of mutants. It's weird. I would join that group. That's a unique group if there was ever such a group, but it's hard. People like that, they're spread out. It's never practical, but maybe someday. But I would just say every group you join with caution. Having looked at the Rise of Skywalker, I don't think it's neared its $1 billion mark. I've been keeping up with some of the Phantom Menace, and to me, I don't know what it is. It's like it's irritating because Disney, ever since Disney got a hold of Star Wars, which I feared, and some people I knew on Twitter feared, this was not going to work. I mean, you had such a great storylines with the Clone Wars, right? And it was great. It was like the best stories you could ever have. I don't think it ever got better. And to me, like, how can you get better? And when you look at Star Wars Legacy with Kate Skywalker, and you look at what the midichlorians might be with the Yuuzhan Vong and all these different possibilities, and it was like, okay, I think you could get to that point where you can tell this ultimate story, and I have that. I mean, I reviewed what was it, the Kate Skywalker story. That was the Star Wars Legacy. I explained it. But then Disney got a hold of the whole thing and just took out a lot of things. Everything. Now it's Legends. Darth Plagueis is Legends, except for the name. And that's really irritating. And I don't understand why that needed to happen. But the first movie I tried to like. I bought it on DVD, hated it. Definitely hated the second one, even though I liked Rogue One. Rogue One was the only saving grace. Jyn Erso is kind of flat. But you could have made this movie in 1973 with women, leading the charge, being not homemakers anymore, like with Wonder Woman and the Bionic Woman back in the 70s. You could have made a movie like this. That would have been a prequel, but I think it would have been way too expensive with all the dog fights. That's the only thing. You would have had real Carrie Fisher at the end, not Sim Carrie Fisher, but they had the whole CGI thing with her daughter playing Leia. But anyway, this third movie was just crap. Now, what made me bring this up is that here's the thing. What was the problem here? The problem was that Bob Iger, I read in one article, he wanted a Yoda movie, he wanted a Boba Fett movie, he wanted a Stormtrooper movie, he wanted a Vader movie, he wanted an Obi-Wan movie, he wanted a Bounty Hunter movie here, Jedi movie there, Imperial Officer movie over there. Different movies that had to do with Star Wars, like Marvel Comics, right? You had Ant-Man, you had Hulk, you had Thor, you had Iron Man, you had Spider-Man. And then the problem became when they just couldn't get organized, okay? Kathleen Kennedy was like the devil, okay? He signed everything over, and he thought he was going to have, as a consultant, he would have a major role. And they took his scripts, and they had to argue with somebody on Twitter about this. They took his scripts and threw it away. JJ threw it away, reportedly. And now they're talking about JJ Abrams' cut, saving the whole franchise, which I don't think it would. I don't think it would have been any better. Yeah, it would have been a less stinkier pile of shit than what you have. So it's just ridiculous. So what happens is, this is the problem, okay? Star Wars is bigger than the people who can hold it, okay? I remember when I told my story. Do you remember? Okay, you have to look for it on my channel. It's called Grim Planet, Gray Patriarchy, and Green Pueblo. And also look up my name on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, my story ideas, okay? My story ideas are about as strange as George Lucas's story ideas. If George Lucas had written a book about Star Wars in 1972 and shown it to a book club, you know what they would have told him? To go fuck himself. They would have told him, you stupid kid, come up with do some gangster movies, do some crime movies, do some dramas, do some 18th century Jane Eyre or 19th century Jane Eyre type stuff. Don't be doing this. They would have laughed his ass off. The book club of old ladies would have told him to go fuck himself in no shorter terms, because what is this about Wookiees and spaceships and stuff? Who cares, right? And now everybody wants a piece of Star Wars, right? 40 to 50 years later, they want a piece of it because it was successful, because it made so much money, and it was at a time where people were depressed. They didn't want to see any more dark, crude sci-fi movies or French Connection. They wanted to see something different. And that's what Star Wars did. And we go through all the movies and the cartoons, and now it's like Disney has it, and it's like me. I'm first. You got a person who had no real role put in charge of story and continuity. and and then he trolled the fans along with Rian Johnson, the director of Last Jedi. They both trolled the fans. So everybody wanted a piece of Star Wars, like it was like gold, like virtual gold. And as soon as they got a hold of it, they did fuck all to it and disregarded whatever the fans wanted or what other people did, or even the case director versus director. And then when the movie fucks up, then the blame game comes in. Whose fault is it? Who gets axed? Who gets fired? Who gets dismissed? Who gets put on probation? Who gets put on watch? And it's ridiculous. Now, I won't blame the junior fans. I don't like Andy Guterres, the on-site quote-unquote harsh reporter, because she just, she's glamorous, all about glamour. She's a chick, and I don't like chicks on things. I don't. But everybody else, Matthew Wood works hard. Some of the other people who worked on Rebels and Clone Wars worked hard. Dave Filoni, nobody has a problem. Jon Favreau, nobody has a problem with. So it's really like, I think when George Lucas Rick McCallum, the original producer, said that they were trying to get money together to make Star Wars Underworld, which is like the 1313 stuff, and then Star Wars Detours, which was a mess, but they hit a wall. And I never thought that George Lucas, with all his money, merchandising and toys and games, would hit a wall. People thought that he had this unlimited amount of money. He could do anything. Why would he need to sell it to Disney? People say, oh, he's retired. But I think he just needed the money to finish the projects, and he didn't have the money on his own. He didn't have it. What they should have done is should have got either Katie Lucas in charge of Lucasfilm, or Jon Favreau, or even Rick McCallum. You could think of one hand the number of people who'd be more qualified than Kathleen Kennedy, only because she worked on The Land Before Time with George Lucas. She did a couple of things with Steven Spielberg. She got coffee. What the hell? So anyway, I think better time would be spent making more Mandalorians, better comic books, and just let's reincorporate some of the old stuff. But that's happening slowly. Darth Revan is slowly coming back. Let's let the Plagueis novel come back, or at least rewrite the Plagueis novel so that it's better for everyone to consume. Can't be no harm in that. And with that, the bar is now closed.